Yes, people, what's happening? Happy Sunday, man. 10th of March. It is the full view, and it's full. It's Ramo. It's Ramo in the main room. 6 people. Shout out to Owen. Shout out to Cam coming through. I tell you what, when Cam pulls up on the full view, you know that is he's got some
analytical
stuff to say. Yeah, exactly. Very. He's in fact, actually, when he pulls up on the full view, it means the tactics have gone out the window, and he's just got shit to say. He's like, you know what? Forget the tactic. I need to say some home truth. So big up to Cam, big up to Rich as well. Kenny, as always, and Marcel, he was just sitting there in the wrong virtual room on the wrong link by himself, waiting for us to join on a show that was probably last week. But that is Marcel. Listen, it is the full view. And I want all of you guys to get involved in the chat, in the community. This is probably, no, do you know what? This is our biggest show in terms of, you know, the opinions that it stirs up, the amount of opinions that we get, people in the chat. And I want you guys to get involved today, because this show today is actually about all of us. And I don't mean all of us on your screen. I mean all of you, all of the fans around the world. It's about the United fans, us as United fans, because we're all divided. It feels like we're all divided. And there's good reasons for that. There's bad reasons for that. And I want to get involved and see why you feel the way you do versus the way you don't understand how other people feel, etc., etc. I want to get into this. I think this is fascinating because I felt it probably the strongest. I felt it over the last sort of couple of games or so, especially yesterday's game as well. So want to get into it. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. You guys know straight off the bat, 250 likes. We want to get that in the bag and then go from there. And let us know where you're watching from and how you're feeling. Right. And happy Mother's Day as well to everybody as well. Happy Mother's Day.
Indeed.
To everybody celebrating that with their mum today. And obviously, if you're in a position where, you know, your parents are not with you or your mother's not with you, we're thinking of you as well. So big up to everybody on this Mother's Day, however the day comes for you. Right. Let's get into this. Owen, just set the scene a little bit. Set the scene a little, because you put out a tweet yesterday, right?
I did.
And you know what? When Owen goes and puts the long paragraph, he's pissed. I know that something's got to him, and he's like, nah, I need to say this. Owen, talk us through what you tweeted yesterday and what the context of this is, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so like as you mentioned, we've noticed this more, or certainly I have noticed this more often over the last sort of few weeks. It's been bubbling for a while in terms of, I want to say toxicity, but in terms of it's very polarized at the moment, and sort of the art of discussion, conversation, and debate has kind of, I guess, been a bit lost. And I felt it very strong yesterday at halftime, because halftime yesterday, we're 2-0 up at Old Trafford. We've scored 2 penalties. Garnacho wins them both. Bruno, Rashford score. So we're winning, but we're not playing very well, which is a common theme recently, isn't it? When we're winning, not playing very well. So I posted the following, basically saying that the discourse surrounding United matches and performances is in a really horrible stage at the moment, isn't it? Because if you're happy with yesterday's 2-0 win, the reaction and response is, your standards are on the floor, your head's in the sand, we're just awful. Why can't you see that? Now, if you critique the performance and say, even if you're happy with it, you say, I tell you what, that performance yesterday, it's not that good to watch. And some of those stats are quite worrying. You know, the response you get to that is, well, why can't you just celebrate a win? Why can't you just be happy? You know, you're not a real fan. You'll never be happy. Just back the manager, back the players. Don't talk about it. And if you critique the manager, the response is, no, don't critique the manager. It's the players. The players, they all need to go. You're being short-sighted here. That's the problem here. If you critique the players, it's no. It's the manager. The manager's clueless. Can't you see? He's out of his depth. He needs to go. If you critique just an individual player, they go, no. Talk about this other player. Don't talk about this player. Talk about the other one. He's the real problem. And what's crazy about it all is you're not allowed, apparently, these are these unwritten rules. You're not allowed to feel a combination of all of those different things. You're not allowed to have a mixture of feelings. You have to pick one position. You have to stick with it to the very end, even if you don't believe it anymore. Why? Because we've got to be proved right. That's what it's all about. It's all about being right at the end of the day. And it's not really about, I guess, success or anything like that. It's about point scoring and who's going to be right at the end of it. And it's tough at the moment. Not only is the football a tough watch, but even discussing it, that's tough as well. Because if you share an opinion, you get vitriol sprayed at you immediately. Can't you see that? Like, people like shaking you. And it's interesting. It's interesting because I'm of the mindset anyway that lots of those different things that I mentioned there can be right at the same time. I don't think there is a single point of failure. I think there's multiple. Obviously, the biggest is the Glazers' mismanagement of the football club for the last however many decades, particularly the last 10, 15 years. And it's all starting to catch up to us now. But it's just interesting. It's very interesting. It's a very strange time, isn't it, Flex? I don't know how you think about that.
Yes. Ethan says, well, straight off the bat, Ethan says, my eyes showed me that Sean Dyche bopped us off the park yesterday at Old Trafford. And at full time, post-match, Ten Hag is telling me, XG, nah, Ineos has a simple job to do season end. Let's start with you, Marcel. I've seen yourself, actually, on X, you know. I'm not going to say arguing with people, but
I saw a reaction.
Marcel's moving,
Marcel's very passionate right now. And I'm here for it. I love it. I love it. How do you see it, Marcel, when you're sort of speaking with people who maybe don't agree with you and vice versa, and the difference of opinion? Why do you think it's like this? And do you think it's right?
We as a fan base or as people can't accept the hardship and the suffering of a rebuild. That's what it is.
It sounds very philosophical already. We're in the philosophy.
We cannot delay gratification in our existence. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. So you guys are not willing to go through that process of what a rebuild really means, what the essence of it. And you're going to have this kind of teething period when you're trying to play that front foot style of football. Can you be happy about the 2-0 and how it happened? The first half, I really think you can. There was counter-attacking principles in there. Garnacho shows us wonderful wing play, and we get 2-0. It could have been 3 or 4, I think I mentioned, in that game specifically, because I remember you talking, Flex, about we don't want to conflate, complaining about a whole season's work and conflating, especially when you come out of a game, the 90 minutes. Annotating a 90 minutes of football. When you annotate this 90 minutes of football, the first half was good. We had 2 counter-attacking charges. Garnacho shows us brilliant wing play. Yes, they tried to impose themselves, like Ten Hag mentioned. Ten Hag mentioned that Everton did try to oppose themselves. They tried to put their double six on our double six early on in the game. We had teething periods. Players that we've complained about that can't do build-up. Casemiro was showing it in a poor way, in a poor level. He can't be the single six. But it's just... Ten Hag is still trying to implement 11 footballers in a front foot manner, and he doesn't have 25 players that can do that. So you're going to see this headache. We saw from last season against adversity away from home, we can't play good football because of the caliber of the footballers within this squad. So we mentioned that on United View last season. That's not really changed that much, guys. So we're still going to be going through this. I just think, we have to be able to keep calm, understand that where we are, because Owen's talking about the point of failure. It's not, I don't think, that we can go, we're losing our head about point of failure. It's about point of action. What is the first point of action for the football club to make? And it shouldn't be at the hands of the manager. The manager has been making good actions for the first season. The second season, we've had clear and obvious. I was getting grilled and crucified it, like Owen's expressing, when you have opinions about the injuries. But lo and behold, look how massive it has been for the football club. It's been catastrophic. Nobody should be understating that any better than what I'm saying. It's been catastrophic. Decimated squad, full of injuries. Our managers mentioned that. And he's compared it to Liverpool's situation when they were decimated with injuries and they couldn't implement their style. It's very simple to see, guys. So for me, we're struggling now with a squad that doesn't have the ability to play the front foot style, but you've got a manager here that's trying to do it game after game after game. He's going to have issues. People complain about Scott McTominay in the 10. What else is he meant to do? Look at his bench, Fleck. Like, what is he meant to put on? How is he meant to change the dynamic of his idea when he works all week on it? He can't do much.
I think the
that's
issue.
Why I was saying that he's the most patient. That's why you guys are laughing at me about it. But I was saying he's the most patient man that I know. This guy will stay there with his one plan, with his 11 players, and he can't really do anything because his hands are tied behind the back. But he will just keep it out there and say, listen, I wanted them to shut up shop, but they didn't have the temperament. I want them to keep the ball. He's saying after every single presser, he's saying, guys, we don't have control, not because of me. I've been telling these guys I want to control the game, but they're not doing it. Give him some new footballers, please. Please, guys, give him a new footballers, and you'll see what he's trying to do.
But we're over 400 million spent into Ten Hag's reign, though. Is it too easy to say just give me another 400 and make that 800, or should there be? And this is just devil's advocate, because you're saying give him some new football players. Fair play, injuries, 100%. Listen, I do agree with that. ETO says it doesn't matter how many players are injured. The manager should have shown his philosophy with the players that he has. Embarrassing performance week in, week out, poor players and zero tactics. So ETO is not saying there isn't poor players. He's also saying that there's poor tactics. Rich, you was going to come in. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, let me caveat first of all with actually very much.
And a lot of people agree with Marcel, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Marcel said, and I think we are at a stage where we need to just accept the fact that we are going to have teething issues, and we're going to have these times of ups and downs, and we need to get behind something. We need to get behind a project. But the problem is, like I said, where I am, I'm standing on the side of 100% with Marcel, 100% with let's get behind the manager, let's work through the project. But at the same time, I can see the arguments from the other side, or that some of the other side are bringing in. Ten Hag is given a lot of weird reasonings sometimes. Come out after the game and say, "Oh well, we played all right in this period, we played all right in that period." We are getting bopped really by people like Everton. We're getting bopped. Like in the last few games, when have we had a good performance when we thought actually we look like a team that's going somewhere here? We just saw today. I get it. We're, like I said, once again, I'll caveat, I'm very much with Marcel here, yeah, but I like bringing the other side of the argument. We saw against comparing against this is the extreme, but comparing ourselves to Liverpool today against City, right? Liverpool also don't have their first 11. They didn't have Salah out in the team. They're playing, and the last few games they've been playing certain players. Spurs have had players out. Okay, cool. When they did have those players out, Spurs, they didn't play that well, and they lost a lot of games. We all know that.
Still playing the same way, though. They played in the same way.
Exactly. Well, they're still playing the same way. And I think the problem is people are seeing what Ten Hag's doing with these players, and they're saying, okay, hold on. One, there's not much of a clear, consistent style of play, right? That he wants to do. Marcel's right. He wants to do something, but he's not being able to implement it with the players that he's using on the pitch. So then he'll then come out after the game and say, no, we did all right. We should have done a bit better in this sense, but we did all right. I don't mind too much what we did. No, I don't think we want to hear that right now. And I think that's where the problem is coming. Like people are getting a bit fed up with what he's saying, and what he's coming out with. And they're kind of like, well, it's not really matching what I'm seeing on the pitch. And it's not matching what I think the project should be. So like I said, I agree with Marcel, but I do see the other side's arguments. I do think we have to be patient, and we do have to get to a stage where we're like, okay, you know what? This guy has a process. He's a good coach. He's a good manager. We're gonna have to get behind him.
Yeah. Sem says, I fully agree with Marcel. Don't forget all the issues he's had to deal with, and he dealt with perfectly. He is struggling at the moment because he doesn't have a squad. Realize this, guys. He needs his players. Give him time. I'm going to get to super chats here before we carry on the conversation with Kenny and then Cam as well, and everyone else. Ray says, United fans are like flavors of the month. We like Ten Hag until we get bored. Then we want a new flavor. Example, De Zerbi. So I am on the fence now, and I know how we move. 2 years we'll be back to this if we fail. And Sam says, Cam looking like Falcao at Monaco. If you know, you know. Yes. And big up to Amir says, Marcel, you can't have this view if Eric Ten Hag bought Anthony Mount Amrabat and doesn't play Ahmad.
Can I just say
sorry, quickly on the Mount thing. People need to leave him alone. The guy's been injured all season. What do you want him to do? Look at and I don't know who compared him. Timber has been injured all season. No one's talking about Timber being rubbish.
Arsenal good.
Mount alone.
Yeah,
exactly.
And just on that, Amir, and there was other thing, and Flex, you was talking about the 400 million quickly. That's like every manager spends a lot of money and they make bad decisions within their process. And what you're saying, Rich, on just the shape of the team, like the reason why Liverpool can play how they are playing right now is because they've had 1,000 matches plus with this manager. Yeah. Every day, the youth players, every day they understand his philosophy, and they have players, through the youth, through the 21s that are going to slowly build up and hopefully get this opportunity with the understanding of his philosophy. That's why they can be at this position right now. That's why we're so many years behind that. I can also have this opinion because Pep's made wrong decisions with Nolito. We're obsessed with this Anthony through every single great manager in their process.
Because there's a lot of money, though. That's five or six. That's why. I mean, when he's like one of the most sort of expensive players in like Premier League history, then that's why he's going to get scrutiny. He's going to get scrutiny.
And so is Maguire, and so is Pepe, and so is. It's happened before in
Calvin
football.
Calvin Phillips wasn't cheap, was it?
Is the point that I'm trying to make, Owen? And that's what we have to come to realize. We cannot bang the baton over Ten Hag's head when he's performed so well in his first season. By the way, Anthony scored in big games. Barcelona, Arsenal, he's City. He scored in big games. So again,
whoa. Don't bring up the City game. Don't bring up the City game, Marcel. We lost 6-3. We lost 6-3 that day.
And it was the last goal in the
They love to do it. They love to do this to me. We love to cut me or whatever. But it's the truth.
Yeah, but that's just only because that one was a madness. You gotta go. He's got to get City. When you lose 6-3, lost again 6-3.
The point I'm trying to make is we paid 80 million for a man to score in big games and in clutch moments and
that was the clutch moment.
That was the clutch moment.
That wasn't.
And he's shown us. And again, that's one particular game. But again, Barcelona, Arsenal, I mentioned. No, but I hear you. But you've out of 3 games, we're arguing over the one that I've mentioned. I'll retract that. But the other 2 are correct. Is the point again? The point I'm trying to make. So it's one of them ones where you have to understand, yes, and I don't want Anthony. I'm just trying to give you the positive outlook on why our managers continuously to force this issue. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I know that we shouldn't want him, but he's scored in big games. I wouldn't say give him time. I would still say let him go, but I'm just trying to lay out the facts to you guys. Arteta's made mistakes. Pep's made mistakes. Klopp's made mistakes. This has happened in football. So let's get rid of him if we have to get rid of him, but don't get rid of the manager. What is going on?
So I'm not reading that comment. That made me laugh. Sorry. Some good points, mate. Hang on a second. Oliwu Damalere says fans support a clear style of play. A clear style. Erik ten Hag needs to show his. Just like Klopp's vision was supported despite setbacks. Criticism isn't always a call for dismissal, sorry. And Ugwa says, ultimately, Erik ten Hag is not good enough, lacks philosophy, and our football is abysmal. The man is a waffler. He has not given us anything to hold on to. John says, what do you want Erik ten Hag to say? My squad sucks and I can't play my style. Which players would play for him after that? He needs 6 more players who can pass. And Shane Starr says, is Erik ten Hag meant to throw the players under the bus after the Sancho situation? Cam, you're saying exactly that. Talk to us.
You're on mute.
I think you can win with this fan base at the moment because whatever he decides to do, people are going to get pissed off. I think people are complaining about performances and not having the right style now. I guarantee the amount of shit that will be coming out of people's mouths if the results were really bad continuously, but we were trying to play a particular way. He'd be called naive. He'd be called embarrassing. It would be called tactically inept. All these different words. If you bring in De Zerbi now, he's the flavour of the month. But Brighton gets spanked pretty regularly, 4 or 5-0 in different games when it doesn't work for them. If you bring that to United...
Yeah, it's a different level of scrutiny.
Suited. Oh my God, the reaction from the people now who I guarantee are saying, oh, we play terrible football, the performances are awful, what are they doing in training, all that sort of stuff. I guarantee if you get those results, the same people will be 10 times more angry because we're not winning any games and we're getting badly, badly bruised. And the problem you'll have then is it won't just be the fan base saying it, the players who still very clearly back Ten Hag and play for him, you'll very quickly lose their buy-in. And when that happens, any manager is in big, big trouble. So I think it's at this point it's impossible to win with a lot of people. I think, in all honesty, a lot of people from what I just can't see how people watch games, understand the situation with injuries and everything else that's going on with the club, and then still get this angry about what's going on. I think you can't turn this bunch of players that most of whom can't play football in their correct positions, suddenly they're all having to play out of position. You're not going to suddenly turn them into a team that's going to go toe-to-toe with Man City. Liverpool did it today, and they played as well as they possibly could. And look, in that first 10, 15 minutes, they could have been 3-0 down.
Yeah, they probably should.
I thought they were going to be as well. First 10 minutes, I thought they got in behind. They got in behind like 3 or 4 times, and that's where I do agree with Cam because I felt like there was such a such a sort of contradiction of maybe people not keeping the same energy last week, in particular against Man City, because we all went into that game saying we're going to lose. I just hope we show some fight today. We lost and we showed some fight, and then that wasn't good enough. And I thought, well, what are we doing? Then that's when it gets ridiculous. But yeah, I agree. I agree, Cam.
Yeah, Kenny, where do you stand on all of this? You've seen, Man United for a lot longer than us guys. When you've seen sort of transitions, how do you feel about this?
I'll go back to and you can go back and don't forget, United's had a great history of football, of good football. So forget the Ten Hags, forget the Rashfords, forget the Antonys, this, that, and the other. United have always had a style of play. Yeah, it could have been bad under certain times for Sir Alex or whatever, but you recognise the team. You recognise the team today of Jurgen Klopp's that fought like cat and dog to get a result and outplayed Man City for the whole of the second half. We were unlucky, really. Where I see it is when I look at what I'm seeing and hearing with my own eyes. I was at the ground yesterday, and there's a real buzz at the ground since Innes have come in. The atmosphere, I thought, was excellent. Before the game, everybody's singing, chanting, the Stretford ends up for it. And I thought, I'm really enjoying this. This is what I want. This is what I come to football for. I don't come to a football match to look what's going on in the concourse or whatever. I want to come and watch the football. All the detractions about the new ground, this end, to me is irrelevant. I want to see good football on the pitch, and that's what Manchester United fans of whatever generation have been brought up is to win. Yesterday, Sean Dash's football team played us off the park on football. That's the way I saw it, right? And we were very, very fortunate. We had young Garnacho on, whose energy, his enthusiasm or whatever got us 2 penalties, especially the second one, because there's nobody else on that pitch could have got us them 2 penalties. Nobody, because nobody had that lad's energy. If I looked at Rashford, it doesn't seem to have any more interest than the man in the moon. So when we keep talking about projects and this, that, and the other, we're blaming the players, we're blaming Ten Hag, we're blaming this. Ultimately, what's going to happen here is Ineos have come in, and Ineos have told you we want a style of play. That's it. Now, if Ten Hag can't give them the style of play, Marcus Rashford can't play to the style of play that they want, or Bruno Fernandes or whatever, they'll be out. They will be out, irrespective of what we think, because they're not bringing the best. We've asked for the best in class. We have asked for the best in class to be brought in. And that's, to me, that's what they're doing. You look at all aspects of the club, best in class is coming in. They're paying compensation out here, compensation there. So I'm reading it, and this is the way I read it. If they believe in Ten Hag, that's what it's about. It's not what we think, because you can go on 1 million fan channels tonight, right? You're all saying it. Oh, it's his fault, it's their fault. We can't be Arteta, we can't be this, we can't be that, we can't be the other. Ultimately, they will decide a style of play, and they will think to themselves, can Ten Hag apply that style of play that we want as Manchester United, right? Not this year's Manchester United, the history of the club.
Overall, yeah.
Overall, exactly. Can Ten Hag and these players deliver it? And they will either, if Ten Hag, right, and the state at the end of the season, we know that. If Ten Hag is still here in August, they believe then, for me, that they will invest in Ten Hag. If they do not believe that Ten Hag is the man, right, they will get rid of Ten Hag in the summer. They'll bring the new man, and any 200, 300, 400 million pound that's coming, right, or the investment over the next 5 to 7, 10 years, right, will go to the new man. We'll go to the new man. So what we think currently, right, is irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant as United fans, because we're all contradicting each other. We're all contradicting each other. Marcel's telling me how good Anthony's in 3 games. I'll tell you how bad he is in 10 games. And on the other time, is it, no, I'm being serious, Anta. Do you know what I mean? And everybody's saying, oh, don't say this about Mason Mount. He's been injured. But I love Rasmus Højlund. But they bought him injured. I love him. I think he's fantastic. I've told you he's the next Ruud van Nistelrooy. I love young Manu. Young Manu wouldn't have got a chance. Young men who wouldn't have got a chance if Mason Mount had got injured, right? Garnacho would probably not have got a chance if Anthony had been a better player than what he is. So Rashford was the same when Rashford came in. Rashford came in on the back of 3 players being injured. So sometimes things just fall into place. People get lucky or whatever. It's not a science that they brought Garnacho in and he's good or whatever. It's just how we are. I'm looking at the signings he's made, and I question it from an Ineos point of view. Because Ineos must be saying to themselves, can we trust this man with another X amount of hundreds of millions? Can we trust him?
But that might be one of the things that changed, Kenny. If they do keep him, then he would have to sort of work alongside what their vision is for Manchester United.
Exactly. But he'll not be choosing the players. That's what I'm saying. He'll not choose the players. Right? They're not bringing these people in, these sporting directors and these recruitment office strategies, and they're paying 10 and 15, 20 million pound compensation for, and then saying Ten Hag, Eric, bring your mate up at Ajax and get us another couple of duds. Do you know what I mean? They're not saying that, are they? So obviously, I think if Ten Hag is still here in August, they trust Ten Hag. It's not another 12 months, or it's not. They trust him for the future. Because if they don't trust him, they sever her. These people are business people. They will sever her. They're not severed till the end of the season because it's disruptive. They will already know in their own mind the best we are going to get is 6th place. And if we're lucky, we might get 5th. If we're lucky, right? But the best is 6th place. And the only reason we're going to get 6th place is because the teams in 7th and 8th are as bad or worse than us. So we're creating that gap between them. So, I just think, and just one other little point as well.
Yeah.
And I said it, I think KG kind of cut me off last week because I said about Martinez. I love Lisandro Martinez, right? And I said it's a bad signing, right? The reason I said it's a bad signing, not a bad player, Eric Bailey, is reminding me of Eric Bailey. We all loved Eric Bailey.
No, Kenny, I don't think
so.
I
know.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm talking about it from an Ineos point of view, not from what you see.
Yeah, but I don't think Ineos will be coming in and saying, I tell you what, that Martinez is a bit injury prone. I think we need to shift him. I think he's really the only shining light out of what we've got.
How many games has he played?
Well, he played an awful lot of games last season, and then towards the end of it, he got a bad injury. And
then he came back and he's gone back again. So
he played all the way till February. Luke Shaw's different. That's been 9 years of all injuries. I absolutely agree. But Martinez, he didn't come here with a long bad. I looked at his injury record because we were looking at this. I actually didn't have a bad injury record. And
don't get me wrong, I love him.
Yeah, but he's just been unlucky. Someone fell on his knee.
These aren't like muscular injuries or anything like that. They're his foot got stuck in the ground.
The point I'm making is about his recruitment, right? His recruitment on players being injured and price per game that they are playing, as opposed to playing 40, 50 million and then they're not playing, doesn't go down well for Ten Hag. No, because he's got very few players. He's got very.
I don't think the Martinez one will. I think he's all right with the Martinez one. I think he's all right with that. But
I'm applying a principle that if he looks at it with Anthony, there's issues, right? All the other players, the only player that we've signed, right? Amrabat. We all loved. Oh, Amrabat! This is fantastic in the semi-final of the World Cup, etc., etc. The only players that have any credibility currently, from a safety point of view, that are playing well, is Johnny Evans. It's not cost us nothing, but it's brought him in. Johnny Evans is outstanding yesterday. He was my man of the match.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Outstanding yesterday, right? And Ericsson up to this last period, both frees. Not 80
but you
million,
would put Martinez in. You would put Martinez into that. He's been good. He's been really good.
I love him. I love him, but I don't look at it from me. I'm looking at what they will say.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they want to keep on some of the players though?
We put in 50 million, right? And it's not. It's only playing 1 in 4 games. Their recruitment wouldn't have signed him.
I don't think there could be any question marks for Lisandro Martinez being injury prone with the 2 types of injuries that he's had. The first one, well, they're both just freak accidents, to be honest. And then obviously, I think it makes it look worse. Yeah, no, Eric Bailly was
Eric
single
Bailly,
season.
yeah,
Every
yeah,
single
and
season.
and some of those were muscular injuries.
Calf.
You know.
Yeah, and I think
I hope you're wrong.
He'll be fine.
I love him.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
And I love
He was
Rasmus.
so unlucky that
They're
Kufal fell on his knee in that moment, and he'd still be playing now. Like I know there's if, buts, and maybes, but I think the perception changed with Martinez because he came back and his foot wasn't right and had to go and get another operation. That's when you add that in, it's like, oh, another operation. Oh, he's been out. Then he comes back and gets something completely innocuous that's nothing to do with that foot. And now he's out for a long time, and you're like, oh, that's so annoying.
And even when he did his foot, and even when he did his foot as well, his foot got stuck in the ground against Sevilla.
So
even that was a freak injury, and then the surgery he has is a botched job, which is out of his hand.
Luke Shaw's first one was a leg break. His one was a complete ankle off.
And even prior to that, even prior to Luke Shaw's broken leg, like he was known at Southampton as being a bit frail, shall we say, as well. I think Martinez, the only thing you could criticize Martinez about is that maybe he's so aggressive that he might lead himself to get hurt and put himself in those situations in the future. But I don't think I don't think you recruit someone based upon, I hope someone doesn't fall on their leg.
But what I'm not on about what he recruits. I'm on about how Ineos looks at his recruitment. That's the fact.
I think there's a bigger conversation about his recruitment, and I've been saying it for months. And I know that Erik ten Hag says the opposite in press conferences, and people say, "Oh, well, he said it in the press conference, so it means you're wrong on this." But genuinely, I think we are heading towards a bit of a crisis point between him and Ineos, because he is a guy that likes control, and he's not going to have as much control over transfers. And I know he said in the press conferences before, like, I've worked in many a structure, I've worked in the Ajax structure, I can adjust to the structure. And I know that Flex, the video you did on it today, and from the Mirror, Simon Mullock, who's been close to Ten Hag's agency in the past. And I know people go, it's the Mirror, what they're talking about. But, the threats of him walking away if I don't get Serva transfers. He even said it before he became, because I looked this up today, before he even became the United manager. It was after it had been announced. And he was asked, like, well, why would you take control over that job? It's historically, recently it's been crazy. And he said, and I quote, I set requirements in advance about how I want to work. If they aren't granted, I won't do it. I'm ultimately responsible and accounted for the results. I don't want to be the sole ruler. So he's basically saying, like, I'm happy to cooperate. He even says, I stand for cooperation, but control in transfers is a condition for me. So what he's saying, and he said that in the past, basically, that was my requirement to become the Manchester United manager.
Owen.
I want control over transfers. Well, look, give me a second, Kenny. So he said that before, right? I find it very difficult to believe now, a proud man like he is, and someone who he's openly a control freak. We've heard those stories, Flex, about he doesn't like people dressing the wrong way at the training ground, that he's just going to be willing to be like, yeah, fine, Dan Ashworth, you're coming in, that's fine. You can tell me what to do, tell me which players want to get or whatever. He's happy to cooperate, but I just think there is an impasse that is going to be reached.
Right.
And I still do think that Ineos will say at the end of the day, like you mentioned before, Flex, as well, it's easier to back a guy that you hired as opposed to someone you didn't. And everyone, when they're on the same page, I just feel like that's going to be a problem that they're gonna have to get over. And I don't know if Ten Hag's going to be able to get over that.
You don't become the wealthiest man in Great Britain and run one of the biggest petrochemical companies in the world, being told what to do and what you're going to do. I'd leave it at that. He will have his own man, no matter what Erik ten Hag thinks.
Okay. Let me get to the super chats, guys, and then carry this on, because there's a lot of big opinion here. Ugo says there is no excuse for being dominated against the likes of Fulham, Everton, and Luton. No YouTuber can tell me otherwise. I refuse to accept that it is okay to be dominated by Luton, injury or not.
Did we win?
Yes, we did. Oluwadamile says Klopp faced similar issues at Liverpool with injuries and defence, yet maintained a clear style in his second season. If fans see a style, they're less likely to complain. And Jamaican dad. Jamaican United says, forget City. We got played off the park every game with worse players than ours. Excuse FC. And Red Baron says, Cam was 100% right on the fitness of the players. Olu Adamalea says, not De Zerbi in, but Brighton has the highest errors leading to a goal, which is clear due to injuries and their identities, not shots faced. Eminem says, can't tell me Eric Ten Hag is prioritizing possession-based football when he's starting McTominay, holding 40% possession against Luton, and tells us we're playing well in every game. Red Baron says, Martinez is a bad signing because he's got bad luck, ? Aminor says, Owen, we are effing miles away from Liverpool and City.
I know.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. Yeah.
Eminem says the basketball football is his real style he's implementing, this transitional game end to end. This team is top 3 to 6 team, not the relegation fodder we pretend they are. And Shane Starr says, Kenny, Martinez is not injury prone, neither is he a bad signing. So please stop saying that. They're asking you nicely. Please stop saying that, Kenny. Big up to you, Shane Starr. John says, wouldn't the big fear be they choose a worse manager? Ashworth has never won anything. Too British centric and might choose Southgate or Potter. Alabi says, style of play. But we don't have up to 5 players that can keep a ball. To add to it, most of our players. It's a bit where you spelled it, a couple of typos there. Most of our players lack simple football IQ. And yes, I think we're up to date with the super chats just there. In terms of likes and what's going on in the chat, we're nearly 1,500 people watching live, which is excellent. 236 likes. So with nearly 1,500 people watching, really, we should be at 500. Really, we should be at 500.
What is going on here?
Yes, exactly. What is going on here? What is going on here? So please smash a like with the video. Subscribe to United View if you are new to the channel or have always watched us but have not. Shout out to Eminem as well. That's your 10th super chat as well. I can see that flashing up on the screen as well. So big up to you. Okay. Owen, what say you on this? Because actually, listening to the community, when Marcel was speaking, a lot of people agreeing with Marcel, saying 100% Marcel's correct. We need to be patient. How can Eric Ten Hag play good football with Scott McTominay, with bloody Casemiro, with Anthony, who's supposed to be good but isn't, with young Kobbie Mainoo, who has to do it all, with Bruno, who doesn't play in that way, with Rashford, who's decided his form's going to drop off a cliff, plus the injuries? How is it possible to play good football? But then when Kenny's talking, he's like, listen, Ineos will probably make their own situation, that they're going to get their own man. And people said Kenny was spitting facts. Very divided.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I really do. I agree with what Cam was saying earlier. I've been saying it for weeks that for Ten Hag, it's just about results. If you get results, that's what it's all about. When he was undefeated in 2024, there were still people complaining about style of play then, and I think some of it was a bit harsh. I think that I agree with the points, some of the things that he was mentioning in the press conferences with the injuries. Of course, they're playing a part. How can they not? When you don't have a recognised left back for the rest of the season, it's going to play a part. That's another point of conversation is the medical department at United, in a word, it's shit. It's rubbish. When he gets told by the medical department, Reguilon, shall I keep him? What are we doing? He goes, no, we're going to have 2 left backs back. And he goes, and then talks to people involved in transfers, and they say, you do realise actually, if you let go Reguilon, we might have a bit in the budget then to get a striker in January on loan. He goes, oh, okay, I'll do it. You are being set up to fail there. So I sense
he wasn't very happy with that as well.
No, not at all.
Some discord.
You could tell because he doesn't do that in press conferences. He doesn't blame people at the club, and he was blaming the medical and fitness department, and he should. It's a complete mess. So I totally understand that. There are, like we say, there are certain things. I think when you go to the recruitment of people that he's picked, like for instance, yesterday, there are 2 of his signings, like Anthony, who was a big signing, Amrabat, they're on the bench. And you can tell he doesn't really want to use them that much as well, because he knows that they're duds. And they're people that, and on top of that as well, it's not as if they're people that he didn't sign because he's never worked with them before. He worked with them in the past and said, they'll be good enough for United, has brought them in to United and gone, they're not good enough. That's a bit of a problem. So I get it. I do get it. But there are circumstances going against him. Like I said, my thing is prediction is I just don't think he'll be here at the start of next season. I think Ineos have already made their mind up. I think they probably made their mind up even before they were ratified, to be honest with you. I think they're going to go with their own person. I don't necessarily, I agree with what someone's making up earlier as well when they were saying that oh, so you're saying you want Graham Potter? Absolutely not. And that's the whole point in recruitment, isn't it? It's when you bring up like Rafael Varane or Casemiro, and you say they're probably going to go in the summer, too much money, age, except injuries, and they go, so you're saying that you want to keep Maguire and you want to bring in someone that's not as good as Casemiro. Well, obviously the whole point of recruitment is you have to replace them with better or like younger that can become better. And maybe that is the concern, is that people are going, well, if you get rid of Eric, then who do you get in? Because if it's not good, if they're worse than Eric, then we're going to find ourselves in an even more difficult situation. But like I said, I think the decision's been made. I think it was made a while ago. And I wouldn't even be shocked. And this is kind of my feeling on Ten Hag at the moment, is he does have this sort of feeling about him where it's a bit harsh when people go, he's an interim manager to the end of the season. But he does feel a bit of a lame duck manager, where you just sort of go like, it might get to a point where everyone knows his future, but it's not like officially done, as you've seen in the past with people like Sarri, people like Benitez when they're at Chelsea.
Is it unlucky though? Is it unlucky, Owen? Is it? And everyone. What I want to ask the question is, because as I'm just taking in everyone's opinion and just sort of letting it season in my head, I'm just like, is he unlucky that basically in his first season, we all admit it was good, right? We all say that. We all said it. It was a good first season. Brilliant. It's considering where we'd come from the season before, to get third and a Carabao Cup and to the FA Cup final, we had a chance to win that and we fell short. It was a good season. In them, what was it? This year, but let's say 8 months, 6 or 7 months, 8 months. Is he unlucky that then the team got destabilized with so many injuries? So then he basically had an identity crisis over what the team can be versus what he wanted it to be if everybody stayed fit. I know these are if buts. I'm not making excuses for him. Yeah. I'm just asking the question.
I think you're right.
And then he basically, in that, ended up making some bad decisions, of course, but also tried to firefight, but also tried to keep his head just above the water. I don't know. Is he? And then Ineos sort of want to do something different. Is he unlucky that them factors happened in his second season after actually stabilizing us in our first? Were we expecting too much in our second season, whereby really, if we look at his time, you're going to say, well, you had one good season, you had one bad. Let's see what you do in the third. Like, should it be that? Or it's like, no, you've now had a bad season after a good season. There's no excuse. You got to go.
Flex, I think we're getting deja vu here, because 18 months ago, before he came in, all we wanted was to play for the badge. We paraded. We just wanted. I remember it's at Old Trafford. I just want somebody to play for the badge. Eric Ten Hag came in, and the boost and the morale of the fans last year was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And he's been unlucky in that if he'd have had this season, last season, and last season, this season, he would be in a job next year and the year after. You don't need to worry. But the problem that you've got now is that the fans now are asking the same question as what we were asking about Ole and Ragnick. They're not playing for the badge. It doesn't look as though they're playing for the badge. So all of a sudden, it's deja vu. We're talking about the issues.
I think they are. I think they are. I just think they're not good.
I'm on about Rashford. I'm on about. Do you know what I mean? I think it's the impression of the fans. The fans are now discontented, saying Rashford's not doing this, Bruno's not doing that. So it's deja vu. We're going back to the holidays when saying they're throwing the manager under the bus. How many times have we heard that in the last month? These players, they've had 5 managers and they've done it with every manager. Why are we having these conversations? We shouldn't be having these conversations as fans, but we are.
Okay, Cam, you look a bit confused there with what Kenny's saying. What are you saying?
Yeah, I think aside from Rashford, I wouldn't say there's anybody else who's not giving it 100%. I think the one thing that I'd say is different this time versus previous managers is that it looks like they're all still behind the manager. I think even Rashford, he looks like he's behind the manager. He just looks disinterested when he's on the pitch and doesn't look like he wants to run around. But I think that's just him. I don't think there's. I think I've seen it with England at times as well, and I've seen it obviously under previous managers. I think that's just what you get with him. I wish he wasn't like that, but yeah, I don't really know. I don't know how you fix that, but I think the rest of them seem to still back the manager and still try and do what he's asking, and they're all together, which I don't think we usually see in a bad season like this.
I don't think a lot of the fans think that. A lot of the fans are asking for a clear out of the players, and a lot of it is because of attitude.
Well, I mean, from my perspective, the fans, people around me, I think the general feeling is we need to clear out the players, but the majority of the reason is because they're not good enough. I think it's not necessarily they're not trying. Like players like Lindelof, for example, at left back. He's not a left back. He's not good enough as a centre back. He needs to go. Casemiro, he's won how many Champions Leagues? He's still trying, but the fact is he can't move now. He can't pass 5 yards.
Yeah. 70 million pound. 70 million pound.
70 million pounds for a Carabao Cup is what the Casemiro signing was.
Well,
interesting. Let's go to Marcel and then to Rich. Marcel, how do you feel about, is Ten Hag just unlucky? Are the players still playing for him?
He has a wonderful stadium and a global fan base that are very impatient and don't want to delay gratification.
Sorry, Marcel. Do you know what? Oh, wait. Before you carry on,
it's got way with words. It's just the way with words. No.
It's not even. Do you know what? It's not even cutting off your point and stuff. I just wanted to let you know because you said we've got a wonderful stadium. It just made me, because we're talking about getting a new one or changing it or what. Just that you started on, we've got a wonderful stadium. It just got me. But carry on, bro. Carry on.
I appreciate you, bro. So what I'm trying to say is that we want to play like this badge should be embarking on, and I say this badge because I'm wearing a Man United shirt under this. This badge should be embarking on
this night tick where we're sponsored by Adidas.
I thought it was a City shirt.
Yeah, in sky blue.
And the thing is, Marcel's got one underneath. At any moment now, he's going to
go. Superman style.
Okay, so we should be playing a front foot style of football. What I mean by that is 11 players in the opposition's half. That's what all the best teams are kind of doing. They're able to enforce that style of football against their opposition. We are not able to do that because the caliber of players can't do that. We've seen this for how long, guys? So, on that process to get to that style of football, you need a whole new set of footballers to get there. That's what all these other managers have done. They've been able to, we used to ridicule Pep in his first season. I guess Arteta kind of managed it a bit. He used to play a back five for a little bit in those 2 8th place seasons. So he's trying to do what Ten Hag's doing, which is kind of makeshift, get through the difficult period, one by one. Scott McTominay goes, Maguire finally goes, Lindelof goes, and then he one by one gets the quality players in, has to make big decisions on Aubameyang, Ozil, all of this nonsense. We've got a different kind of process. But the fact that we're going to cut his head off after 2 seasons is just, we're just going back into what happened before, previous manager. Our issue right now is taking the next step. If you watched Ole's interview, it was talking about taking the next step.
What does that mean? And he said we weren't good enough to do it, but he felt that it was the right time to try and take the next step.
Thank you, Flag. And what he's trying to outline there is against the top 6, he wants to play in the opposition's half.
You're welcome, Marcel. You're welcome.
Thank you, man. And he wants to play because I get ridiculed. When I say things, and you're the perfect man to just to translate in English because I don't speak English. So you translate it perfectly for me. So what I'm trying to say is in the halfway,
you're not speaking German.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm speaking. Delusion, apparently.
It's not German anyway.
Well, Brio says Marcel's spitting facts. That's what you're speaking.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. So what Ole's trying to outline to us is that he wanted to produce a side, and the structure let Ole down. By the way, is what I've come to realize. I didn't realize at first. But Fleck, you can remember.
But let every manager down. There was the structures that every manager down.
Yeah, but for me, I don't like Ole's football because it's counterproductive to front foot football. That's the issue. That was why that's why we went to Holland. That's why we done all these things, because we realized we was getting a manager that wants 11 footballers in the opposition's half to play. Ole has world-class counterattacks, but he has a lot of he has 11 footballers in his half and starts the 7-meter dashes and all of this kind of, that's the essence of it. That's why he's beat Man City 3 times. It's not, and by the way, when people are saying, oh, we get bopped off the park by these smaller teams, for me, what these smaller teams embark on for that 90 minutes, that 90-minute story is we will stay in our half and we will force all of your footballers into our half with us. And then we've got all this space to attack. That that mission for the weaker teams is a much more easier mission than the Manchester United footballers having to go and stay in their half and break down banks of four. That's why we lose these games, because these players are not capable of doing that simple fact. These issues are it's a player profile quality issue. People tell me about Ange, people tell me about these other flavors, and their player profiles that they have in their squad are superior to ours. Spurs have a better squad. Aston Villa have a better squad. They just do. It's just a fact. They really do. And once people start realizing that the process that the manager obsesses about and the taking the next step are the two things that we need to focus on, and let the manager change the player profiles so we can get there, you'll understand this manager wants to play front foot football. It's a beautiful thing, guys. Give him time to get players that can do it. I don't want to see counter-attacking football anymore. This Ole thing. Don't get me wrong. It was good and it was productive against the top three. But even Ole, at some said, he wanted world-class footballers to get that lines higher up and dominate the best teams. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, we have to be able to have patience and let Ten Hag work. What other good reasons to have Ten Hag is, by the way, is this guy is building on our essence. We for years and for decades, we've gone into the academy and reinvented ourselves. Sir Matt Busby done it, Sir Alex done it, and now Ten Hag's doing it. Just let him work with the youth players and get some quality around them, guys. It's just simple. Just be patient. Patience is a beautiful thing. Patience is a wonderful virtue. Exercise it, guys.
Patience.
Marcel, you talk a lot of Marcel. You're talking a lot of sense. However, when you talk about these players that want to play in the opposition half, tell me which players are not playing in the opposite. Which players are incapable now? You tell me which players. Right, go on.
Maguire, he showed us against Traore. So he's shown us all last season that he wants
you don't need to tell me about Maguire players. Just tell me just tell me the names. I know why.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, I understand. Right, I was explaining too much. Maguire, Varane, Scott in a controlling manner. Scott, he can break the lines in the second line like Ten Hag said. In a controlling manner. 100%. Who else is there? Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof. It's all the back line for our build-up, which Ten Hag mentions. Bruno, you could say again, in a controlling manner, Bruno's an issue. In a controlling manner, Rashford potentially is an issue. I've just named about 7 players there.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. And all Ineos need to do is pay contracts up. Just pay the contracts up of the players. I said it last week. If you don't like Maguire and McTominay, you're not going to sell them. Just pay the contracts up. They've only 12 months, 18 months left. Just pay them up. And that's where Ineos should be supporting Ten Hag. And then say, right, what's their wages? Right, let's get the recruitment team in and let's play. Let's buy some players now that can play football in the opposition half. And that's all they need to do. And then you're giving Ten Hag a chance then. Just play the...
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Maguire, player power has been such an evil hold on the football club for years now. So you've given Maguire 250k. He's not going anywhere. You know, Ten Hag already wanted to do that. He made him surplus to requirements last season and had him on the bench last season. But Maguire was an excellent professional. And for me, and you guys laughed at me when I said it before, but he became a man. He said, okay, I've got to stick here and be through the rough period. And then when I come back, I will deliver performances. That's a fantastic. Right. Sancho should have taken the leaf out of that book.
But all Ineos need to do is pay his contract up. That's all they need to do.
We've got FFP. I think we've got massive FFP.
I think that's easier. That's easier said than done. It's not. We can't just.
And that Ed Woodwardness for me, Kenny, is like and that's what I called it, the Ed Woodwardness ages ago. It's because it's a residual. And I mentioned that to Fleck as well. Fleck was like, we might have money for the next 10 years. I'm like, no. And that's why you need to stick with Ten Hag, because it's front foot football. He's dealing with the predicaments, poor player issues, money issues, all these things. And his talent ID is poor. Yes, thank you. Okay, guys. His talent ID is poor. That's been with the issue with all managers. Pep, Klopp. Give him the structure then. And he's told you, by the way, Owen, he's happy to work with them. He's happy to work with them, he said. So I know you're saying that it's going to
But at the same time, and I know he has said that, but like we say, in a press conference, what is he going to say? He's not going to say the opposite, is he? He's not going to also say, "Oh, have you had any talks with Sir Jim and Dave Brailsford? Are you happy to work in the structure?" No, I'm not actually.
No.
I'm not going to do that at all. Of course he's going to say that, because if you want to keep your job, if you want to keep some element of power, you don't start slagging off your bosses or whatever. If I wanted to, I don't know, do something big at United, I wouldn't start cussing out Flex till I got it, would I? That'd be terrible.
No,
That's a bad strategy, isn't it? No,
You'd be an absolute disgrace.
Exactly. I mean, I do it anyway. But but you play nice, don't you? That's the point. You play nice.
It's like Sir Jim in his thing the other day. He was like, despite what people may think, the Glazers are really nice people. That's actually what he said.
Exactly.
He actually said those words. He says, I know they get a lot of bad press, but they're actually really nice people. They want to work with us. He's not going to say anything else. We can't be like, oh, why is Ineos? Why is he saying that? You do have to read between the lines. And when you want to, when it's bloody September and September / November, December times, and your team's decimated by Christmas, you ain't going to say in press conferences, the team's decimated and the players that I've got left, I mean, we've got no chance of doing what I want to be able to do with them. So we're just going to have to see what happens. He can't say that. He has to say, I believe in the squad. I trust them. Because look, at the end of the day, we've seen what Ten Hag's real thoughts are on things when he picks the team. That's like with any manager. I always say it, like, no matter what they say in a press conference, it matters what happens when you get to Saturday at 3:00 or 4:30 or whenever the game is, right? But I think there's certain things that he's had to stick by, because it's like, if he lost a Rashford or a Bruno through this moment, what else would he have? Like, he already took on Sancho, and in his world, in his mind, rightly or wrongly, but I'm not going to get into that, he won, because that player wasn't going to be there anymore. He took on Anthony, and Anthony had loads of problems and it wasn't working. So he made a decision. I can't play you. You're out. Amrabat, I know he was injured for a bit, but he was rubbish again before that. And when he came back, he's like, I'm going to try not to play you. Eriksen last year was his go-to guy. He tried to play him quite a few times earlier this season. He went, you just can't do it. I can't. I'm going to have to go to Scott. I'm going to have to, like, just for being 6 foot plus, just for that. And he can nick me a goal. Not for build-up, not for sitting in a pivot next to Casemiro, making us more defensively solid, not for his passing between the lines. Literally, because Amrabat's rubbish. I've even sent Donny packing, who I had at Ajax, and I don't think he's good. And Kobe has to do everything. So I do understand there are some things that Ten Hag, he just must do. Like, he just has to do it. Like, Facundo, this kid's not really ready. I'm going to play him by and away, though, because Anthony's, gone off, and I'm going to give him a chance. Amari Forson, like, probably, big respect to the kid. It's fantastic to get your debut. Not ready. We've tried with Hannibal. I'm going to bring him in here and there, but it's still not what we need. It's not the required level. So I do feel like there are things that he's had to do with the injuries that we've had. But there's also things where he's let himself down with, whether it's some of the substitutions or some of the way that we go to the game. And that's why I wasn't that mad against City, because I said before City, show me some tactical nous. Show me that you're going to try and change things around for this particular game to make us difficult to break down or to give us a fighting chance. And he did it. He said he's going to put Bruno in a false 9. I'm going to keep the... No, what did he do? What did he do again?
4-3-1-2, 2 strikers for the counter for the counter attack.
It was Bruno and Rashford, isn't it? What was Garnacho and Rashford, and Bruno in like a false 9.
It was Scott in the 10. It was Scott in the 10.
And 3 midfielders behind that in Kobe, Casemiro, and thing. So he said, "I'm going to play compact. Garnacho and Rashford try and occupy the centre halves and get us going on a counter. Rashford gave us something to hang on to. We hung on as long as we could. And after that plan, that's where it gets to the point of what I'm just talking about. There's nothing else he can... People moan about the subs out there. It's like, what's Amrabat going to do when he's come on? He's not going to get us... he gave away a goal, but that's what I'm saying. That's what he's going to do. What was Eriksen going to do? What was Eriksen going to do? Was he going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and go powering through midfield and change it against Rodri, bloody De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva? No, he wasn't.
Bear in mind, the week prior against Fulham, he came on and just dropped a stinker.
Exactly.
Around the pitch.
What's young Ahmad going to do? Yes, he's going to keep the ball nicely and keep it ticking and stuff, but the options are really, really short. We've got 2 goalkeepers on the bench half the time. So I do get those things. I'm going to get through these super chats here and hand it back to you guys. Aminor says, Owen, Should I prank KG on a DR Sports show? That was a little while ago. He's finished that now. Shunak says, as someone who works in sports analytics, it's a disgrace that we can't keep players fit. Conditioning needed to play high-octane football. Eric Ten Hag in. Colin, big up to you, says, just trying to imagine our conversation after the Liverpool game next week. We as United fans are in limbo land. Yeah, I mean, depending on how it goes and what happens at Old Trafford. Again, what we're doing here right now. When is that game? Sunday?
Midweek.
Sunday. Sunday.
So Monday night, full view. Yeah, I wonder how the next full view is going to be. I don't know.
It's going to be after a win.
I hope so, Marcel. I mean, you can see what sort of mindset Liverpool are in. They should have beat City today. They're bang on it. Red Baron says Graham Potter and Southgate combined. Here we go. David G says we have no left-footed defenders, so you would think he'd play Dalot left back and Evans left centre back, but he does the complete opposite. It's made it even more unbalanced. Red Baron says the TikTok generation, Marcel, instant gratification. You get it. And Matohaj, I think, Matoa. So sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Montar. Says people are overestimating the powers of the manager. Players are the ones with the most power over the game. Until we have self-driven players, we will not succeed under any manager. And Ray, big up to you. Thank you for the contribution, bro. Ray says, guys, it is the 2 years cycle we have been doing for 13 years. That's what Ineos needs to break. We just don't admit it. We as fans, we love to be in the toxic 2 year cycle. We need to break it. And Ugwa says, we are still a counter-attacking team, Marcel. Please. K Flow, Marcel shaking his head there. K Flow says, Pep gets the correct duds he buys. United fans go on and on about Anthony. Give Eric Ten Hag a chance to correct his mistakes. K Flow says, Doku, Kovacic in that Wolves kid. Pep brought in clearly no better than Mahrez, Sterling, but watch Pep clear them and bring in new. At United, we don't. Chalaboy Comics says Dalot, Licha, Mainu, Højlund, Garnacho, Onana, Shaw, and Bruno are the only core starting 11 we should build on. New starting quality CDM, centre back, striker, and left and right wingers. I mean, some people saying even Shaw, just with the injury prone, vibe, time to move on. Some people questioning Bruno, style of play. Is it what you need? Does he help you control games? And I think everyone's in agreement there with probably Dalot, Licha, Mainu, Garnacho, and Onana, who's turned the corner at the minute as well. Ketten says Eric Ten Hag press conference is torture. Rich, thoughts? Because I know I was meant to come to you a little while ago, so thanks for being patient. Man.
Yeah, I think it, just to start off actually on the Eric Ten Hag press conference thing, I actually think that is part of the issue that fans are seeing now. Because like I said, it's more of a holistic picture that we need to look at, and I agree a lot with what's been said in terms of it's not just Ten Hag, but he does have culpability. He has things that he has done wrong, and a lot of people don't want Ten Hag in post anymore largely because a lot of stuff he's saying himself. When he's coming out and you're seeing stuff you're not happy with on the pitch, and he's coming out saying certain things, you're like, I don't really like where he's going with this. But then you go back and you say, okay, what is he supposed to say? How is he supposed to approach this? And I think he, to go back to your original question, whether is he just unlucky with the way his fortunes have fallen this season compared to last season? And I think he is a little bit, because there's so much this guy has had to deal with in his tenure so far, and whether it's player power, whatever it may be, he has had to do with so much. And then when you're looking at for example, what Ale said on the overlap recently, he was saying that United do, like Marcel mentioned it, United do struggle to move to this next stage, and clearly Ten Hag wants us to play in a certain way. He wants to control games. He wants to be on the front foot. He wants to press high, all this stuff that he says, but he just hasn't been able to do it this season. And, last season, he did it. He tried to do it in the first 2 games of the season. Didn't work. So he said, I need to play a certain way, for the rest of the season. And then going into this season, he said, what, I'm gonna start implementing the way I want to play. But like you said, straight away from the start of the season, Maino got injured pre-season. He already had his plans already changed from the off, right? And then one thing after another, and we're looking at the left back situation. You're looking at Martinez, who is a huge part to Ten Hag's system, having a ball playing centre back. He's not around, right? And then you're going further. Like I said, Maino was out for the season. His signing Mount was out season. We don't even know what the plans he had with Mount was. We couldn't get a striker in. There's so much more to it than just Ten Hag. And I really do think that we need to, you know, like I said, I understand where people are coming from with Ten Hag. I understand that people, you know, it is an instant gratification situation where you want to enjoy what you're seeing on the pitch. And right now, we're not really enjoying what we're seeing on the pitch. But we do need to be patient, I think. I completely agree with Marcel. We need to be patient and give this guy a chance, because ultimately, when Ten Hag was first, when we were finishing last season and Ten Hag was in the news with Pochettino and all this kind of stuff, a lot of fans, 95% of the fans were like, this is the guy for us. He's a tactician. He knows what he can actually coach the players to play a certain type of way. That hasn't changed. That can't have changed, right? It's just that he has to adapt to different things that are happening right now. And I genuinely think that he will make a change. I genuinely think that he will get there, and I hope that he will get the time to do what he needs to do to get this team in the path that he needs to get on. But I just think the patience has to be there. And unfortunately, you know, to kind of go against what Marcel said, I don't think he's gonna get that time personally. And I think that's what
Ineos will say no.
I think because look at it.
Would that be a mistake? Would that be a mistake for you if Ineos decided to? You think it'd be a mistake?
I think so. But the reason I think that is because who they're bringing in. You know, there's people talking about Potter and all these man. Yeah, who they're bringing in. But I do think the reason I think he probably will get changed is because when you look at the win we had the other day against Everton, right? After that game, it was just kind of like, all right, great, yeah, we won another game. You know, like there was no, for me anyway, personally, I can't talk for everyone, but there was no like, great, yeah, we won. Where are we going with this? Because we're in such a limbo situation, like the other comment said. We're in the situation where nothing really that we do right now changes anything. He can win every single game this season. Obviously, okay, let's ignore FA Cup for a second. He can win every single game the rest of the season, and we can still finish 6th, right? And no one would be like, oh yeah, okay, cool, he had a great season. No way. From this point on, I don't think he can really have a great season. Obviously, now you look at, okay, Liverpool next week. If we go and beat Liverpool, and which is very unlikely, we have to be honest. If we go and beat Liverpool and move on into the FA Cup, even then, that's kind of like it feels like a stay of execution, you know? It feels like it's an inevitable that's happening, that's coming down the line. And these wins and stuff is just not really doing anything for most of the fan base, I think.
Yeah.
For me, I do want him in, and I hope that somehow he can change views and change mentality, but I can't see it happening. I'm struggling to see it happening.
WJ Barrett says, Flex, can you mention some of the Everton players' names? How the hell are they better than our players, but play better than us? Deitch, the new Pep. I don't know. Kenny said they played us off the park yesterday. I didn't see it as they played us off the park. I didn't see it as they played us off the park. I think they had. I think they did the things that Everton do quite well in terms of they're quite strong, they're physical, they get the ball to the wide areas and look to cross immediately. But I think a lot of their play was quite poor. I think their end product was crap. I think
their end product was,
yeah. I mean,
looked better when
a lot of people
came on.
Calvert-Lewin came out, didn't even really see him touch the ball. I didn't see him do anything, to be honest.
He looked brighter.
I feel like, I feel like, obviously everyone's talking about Branthwaite and Onana, get them to United. Branthwaite, you know, come and discuss it. Come to, you know, like the look of him a bit. He's, you know, on the front foot, you know, decent passes. And that. I don't see it with Onana. I just see someone who's like a more athletic McTominay.
You were on your own, like the people around me all thought Everton played better football than us.
Really, there was some times where, don't get me wrong, there were times when, again, the same problems that we get at Man United. We had gaps in the midfield, so they could stroke it through there and end up getting a crossing opportunity where we ended up blocking it quite well. Like Onana, he had one save from Ghana. He's easy.
40 shots.
They're comfortable. They're comfortable.
Yeah, I don't think they ever. I never felt like they were going to score yesterday.
No, I agree.
It says more about the tactics, I think, doesn't it?
It says the tactics, yeah. The style of
it says more about the tactics because Onana wasn't in trouble. Like, put it this way: if they scored with those, you'd be like, Onana, what's going on?
Yeah,
and Garnacho should have scored 2 himself. That's
exactly.
But it speaks. But I think it speaks to more that. And maybe Cam can maybe explain on this as well, because this is my interpretation of it anyway, is that the fact that these teams are able to get these shots off is more the problem as opposed to the quality of the shots. Is that fair?
Ten Hag said it himself. He said these are low quality chances that were given away, because they came at him in the press conference and they said, look, your team is giving away too many shots. And I don't know if you've seen the stats, but I think we've conceded the second most shots in the league this season behind Sheffield United. Right? So then when you see that, right, you like I don't like that. I don't think fans like seeing our team get peppered. But Ten Hag's reposted that is we're getting lots of shots, but they're low quality chances. But I don't think we want that. I don't care if it's low quality chances, because the more you give another team the opportunity to score to shoot against you, the more likely they're going to score, whether they're low quality or high quality. City don't give up that many chances. Arsenal don't give up that many chances because they control the game, right? So, and that's that's where we want to get to. And then when you then hear him saying he wants to control the game, okay, then why are we giving up so many chances then? Okay, and then the other side is we don't have the players, and that's where I'm at. Like, the players just aren't good enough to do what he wants to do.
We defend the low block very well. The brand yesterday I thought were excellent. Last week against City, when we were defending on the edge of our box, they never looked like getting near us. Ireland had one chance. As soon as we transition and progress, once we've gone 15 yards, 20 yards up that pitch, as soon as we lose the ball, we lose. Once we turn round and start running backwards, we've not got a clue.
Back in. Yeah, that's
true.
And
if we do that against Liverpool, you've seen it today. The likes of Diaz and Nunez and Salah. Oh my God!
But that's the bit that I've looked at Ten Hag and think, has he adjusted adequately given the trials and tribulations that he's had? So there's trials and tribulations which I 100% agree with that he's been really unlucky with, and that's the bit where I think he's maybe got a little bit confused of the best way to tackle some of it. And sometimes he's got it right, and sometimes he hasn't. Like, I would like to see us be more, like Cam says about the thing of where people say, if we play the style of football, open, expansive, because that's what he wants to do, if I got slapped up every week, people would moan. 100% agree with that.
No,
I agree that when your team changes and derails from where you wanted the train to be, I think you have to do something different and actually sometimes abandon a few of your principles. And I think sometimes where it's like, the 4-2-3-1 with high wingers who aren't quite tucked in, maybe we don't have the ball, and leaving our midfield exposed and trying to make it transitional and trying to go forward really quickly. That's where I think you should compromise. That's where I think be a little bit more pragmatic, be a little bit more harder to break down. You know that Casemiro hasn't got the legs, neither does Eriksen, neither does Amrabat, neither does a lot of your players. Bruno's a bit scatty. So I tell you what, in this 3-month period, work on, until the injuries ease, trying to play in X way or in Y way. And I know the pushback is always, you can't completely come away from your principles. But I think it's really important to show some adaptability. I do. I think it's important to show that, like, well, I'm not just going to throw you out there to, lamb to the slaughter. I'm not going to hang you out to dry. And it can be a mixture, because if you get results doing that, players buy into it. Players buy into, okay, this is temporary, but we're going to work on this. And this is actually working for us. We're not as open. We're really difficult to beat. We're not in minus goal difference, or we are creating more chances by playing this way because we look after the ball a little bit better. So I just think that's where, to us as fans, it's looked like, hang on a minute, we're still doing the same stupid things. We're still wide open. People can just cut through us. We're still facing a lot of shots. We're still not passing the ball how we want to pass the ball. But we have to decipher that some of that is down to the complete lack of ability of some of these players. When I saw Scott McTominay in the 10 yesterday, guys, he had a couple of chances to lay the ball through to, I think, Rashford or. Oh, yeah. And I said to come off.
It was really heavy.
And honestly, after I turned to the person next to me. I said, "Look at that." I said, "There wasn't even anyone near him. Like, there wasn't even." Do you know what I mean? And even when he does, I've noticed a thing. He had a chance, right, to play a ball out to the left hand side, and I was nitpicking, but it's easier to see these things when you're focusing on one little agenda in your head of like how bad technically someone could be. He got the ball, and I think it was Garnacho was free on the left, like quite quickly to release it. But instead of like using his left foot to just sweep it out there quickly, he sort of ran round the ball, make sure it's set, to make sure it's in the right. Okay, let me set myself and let me do it on my right foot, like just to make sure, because of the lack of
chance is gone. Chance was gone.
And the chance was kind of gone. Yeah. So,
but look, you hit the nail on the head. You hit it on the head. We needed Scott McTominay on that pitch today because of their physicality and heart. They seemed 6 inches taller than us. I don't know what literally 6 inch tall. So I thought that's why McTominay's playing, definitely, because he needs to have him for his physicality, which is bad, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? When you've not got technical players
because it
can't
just isn't
beat
there.
the physical
Like
players.
Casemiro, and Cam's so spot on. Casemiro, right? Honestly, look, he could score the winner against Liverpool. Let's not get this twisted. He could score a header against Liverpool and put us through to the next round of the FA Cup. He absolutely can do that from a set piece or, a good passage of play. But overall, in terms of a routine and a pattern of playing the game, he can't be there.
Yeah,
he can't be there.
You've been strong on Casemiro pretty much all season, haven't you?
Even some of last season as well, because he was taking sort of 6-7 games of dropping absolute stinkers after every time he had an injury or a suspension or whatever else. He can't be in this team. He's killing the team. There's people, I can't believe people in the chat have watched his recent performances and are saying, leave him alone. He is shit. I don't know what you're seeing.
Is that a technical term? Is that a technical term, Cam?
Yeah.
How do you really feel though?
Cam, is he shit or is he just not as good at the things that we need him to do anymore?
The fact he can't pass the ball 10 yards. He can't move.
I think part of the reason that we are conceding so many shots is because he's sitting further back towards. So he's sitting right in front of the back four. So what happens is their midfielders come through and they've loads of space in front of them, so they're shooting. Casemiro should be 10 yards further forward, but I think he's got the centre-back to protect his role. That's where I look at it.
He's worried because you see it every time he sprints out to try and press someone when the ball goes towards them. The ball gets there. He's nowhere near his opponent, and there's a massive gap, and he's just waddling back.
So now he's sitting further back.
Waddling.
Yeah, he does waddle. He does have. He's got no mobility. Cam, what do you think to that comment on screen?
I think whoever put that there is an idiot, to be honest. I think the number of times I've seen...
Okay, well, wait.
They're not. Agree.
JPNT, I apologise for Cam. You're not an idiot. Cam just disagrees with you. No one's an idiot because you disagree with their opinion. But I take it you disagree with that opinion.
What do you think on Bruno though, Cam? Like, what do you actually think?
Go on.
Look, Bruno. I think Bruno's done all right last few games. I quite liked him as a false nine. I think if Højlund's out, that's the way I'd go long term. I think it's a nice option because you've got three midfielders behind him to do.
Yeah, he's less chaotic, isn't it? He is a bit calmer when he's just out the way up there. Like
it works.
And he can just make his mad runs.
Yeah, it's so much better. And back on the whole shots thing, I think there's a little bit of a false narrative developing in the sense that we concede some of the lowest quality chances out of any team in the league. And in terms of out of those shots, I think it's almost basically half that are off target. So actually, I think there's a lot of teams that are just taking shots, hoping for the best.
Yeah.
But actually, the amount of threat that comes from it isn't massive. I think if you look at, obviously you said, Flex, about being pragmatic in the situation. I think Ten Hag, I've clearly rattled this guy into sending in a super jacket.
Another idiot, Cam. Another idiot. Oh.
Yeah, well, look, I'll keep rattling.
Altari says 5-time Champions League winner is shite. Cam has to go.
You can't lie. I'm getting results here, aren't I? For the channel.
Would you say though, Cam? You know what those you said about them taking shots just out of anywhere? Do you think that's based on maybe the Onana early season form, where initially it was just a case of have a shot, see how he's, but then should we expect that to drop off then in the more, I guess, the next few games because Onana has improved and he's, and actually I think he's kept more clean sheets than Alisson this season or something. That's one of the crazy stats,
second most in the league. Yeah.
So do you expect that to drop off?
I do, and I think it's one of those situations where, if you remember, it's almost a little bit like, City in Pep's first season, where there was this impression that people could go up and press them and win the ball. And it took a really long time of them, or longer than you'd expect, of them repeatedly playing through teams that tried to press them before everyone realised, hang on, shit, we can't keep doing this. It'll be the same with the whole Onana thing. It will take a long time of him playing really well before teams go, hang on, we need to be a bit smarter with this. We can't just shoot from anywhere and hope for the best. But yeah, I think in terms of being pragmatic, the things that this team are good at, we've got a lot of defenders that are very, very good at defending the goal from really deep areas. Casemiro as well, for all the amount that I really don't like what he's delivering on the pitch, he is best when he's 5 yards in front of the defence on the edge of his own box, or even deeper than that. He's decent in the air. We've got a lot of players that are good at doing that, and a lot of players that are good at attacking space. So Ten Hag's job, if he wants to optimise the squad that we've got available, is get the players doing what they're good at. And for me, I think that's why the players are still buying into it, because they can feel that the way that Ten Hag's trying to play suits them. Rashford and Garnacho, every single game, they've got a hell of a lot of space to break into. If they don't deliver, that's not on the manager for not creating the conditions they like. That's on them, because the conditions they need for success are there. And it's the same with the defenders. If the defenders don't deliver and don't get out to somebody quick enough to stop a shot within our box, that's on them, because they're Ten Hag's creating the conditions for the players to be at their best. The problem is their best isn't good enough. And as Kenny said, against City, we looked fine when we were defending the edge of our box or really deep. The problems actually were when we had the ball, because we had the ball and made maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 passes. And the most frustrating bit was as well, we get up to the halfway line, or halfway out of our own half, having made a few good passes. Anana might have picked a nice pass, Varane did a good job or whatever, and then it'd be the most stupid mistake. It wouldn't even be trying to kill a ball. It wasn't a killer ball that didn't work. It was a ball into, I don't know, like Casemiro or whoever else, and he'd play it back to one of the back three, but somehow screw up the simplest of passes. And if you've got players that are going to keep making those mistakes, people are always on about this whole possession thing. If we try to play high possession football, the number of counter-attack chances we concede, we'd probably concede fewer shots, yes, but we concede a hell of a lot of one-on-ones. And I'd rather concede a lot of shots when you've got a defender half a yard away than a one-on-one when, if you concede 5 or 6
I also think
the
other thing as well, if our strength is counter-attacking, if I'm attacking us like Everton yesterday, if I try to play it through and we lose that ball, you've got a problem, Everton, because we've got Garnacho and we've got Rashford waiting to sprint on you. I just think it suits the teams that don't want us to counter them to shoot from outside the box, because then if you miss, you ain't going to be counter-attack. You go back and reset. So all them things, I think, go through the mind.
Yeah, for sure. And I think part of that from Ten Hag's perspective is if he wants to play this way that suits our players, he almost needs the opposition to believe that they've got a good chance of scoring a goal. If that belief goes and the opposition are just trying to sit in, that actually makes them more likely to win the game. If they believe that they've got a good chance to score a goal, that suits our whole team. It's not the way that any of us want to see United play. It's not going to give us 60% possession. But for what we've got available at the moment, probably it's the best way of optimising what we've got.
Olu Adamale says, do you think if he wins most games convincingly, dominating possessions until the end of the season, people would still want him out? I don't think so.
That's not going to happen, though, is it? That's
just not going to happen.
Cam just really well put the conditions of what we have, what the manager is managing right now. A load of footballers that can't play position football and that can't dominate games.
We won't control any game. No,
we're not going to do that. It's going to be pragmatic.
Not at the moment with these players, no.
Absolutely. Olu Adamale also says, Cam, compare Eric Ten Hag's second season to Klopp and Pep's second season.
Didn't have all the injuries.
It's different projects, isn't it? It's different projects, different situations, different times.
WJ Barrett says, my point is the chances we give away is worrying. Everton are dead. We are poor in two penalties to win, needing penalties to win. We are really poor and keep making excuses. And
I don't get that argument about the penalties, though, because they did this to us in the pandemic, didn't they? Penalties, when they said, "Oh, United are only scoring penalties." Penalties are penalties. When did they stop counting?
Stop skinning players in the box and making them foul you.
They did it with Bruno, or they did it. Remember with even when Harry came when he broke some records, and it was like, but how many of them are pens? Who cares? They can't. You put the ball in the back of the net.
It's impressive to score a pen. To be a consistent penalty taker and have a good record is hard.
And it's not just yesterday. Those pens.
Bruno's stick was getting stick yesterday. Because he's now the highest goal scoring penalty taker. Fernandes. But you're right. It's hard to do that. It's hard to get consistent.
It's not as if yesterday's were like they were dubious. I mean, they were the most stonewall penalties you could ever see in your life. We should have had we should have had more. I mean, if we hadn't got those two penalties, that one for handball would have been given, but it was just a case of he was like, I don't know if I can give United 3 penalties in the half.
What was that when Mikalenko went sliding in? His arm was behind him.
It was penalty.
And then the Rashford one, he was offside, but that he skinned back. That was a penalty.
They just decided just to hack us down in the box for 90 minutes.
Maltari says, I know, I read that one already. Yeah, what a save, by the way, from Jordan Pickford.
That was great.
Jordan Pickford is mental, by the way. Like he is
good.
like actually, to be fair, I'm not going to call him mental because I don't know if he does have like maybe ADHD or I don't know. But like because I think I did read that somewhere. I have to check that out, but I don't know if he does. But he's such a character. Like when I was watching the
he's laughing
like when he's made the save.
Isn't he?
He's looking around. He goes, "Oh, you see that?" Oh. and then if you watch him, you won't see it on screen in the stadium. Kenny, you was you at the game yesterday, Kenny?
Yeah.
When the ball's up, when they were attacking, he's just squatting. He's just sitting down, squatting, like with his arms crossed, just squatting down, like just. He's just such a character. He loves it. He loves it. He does. WJ Barrett said, I said this is the start. I said this the start of the season, and you had me, and you had
Cass
me.
is finished, I guess.
Cass is finished. No legs and can't pass. He needs ejecting from the team ASAP. Ugwa says, Bruno is better because he is not asked to make play. Casemiro and Bruno are just technically poor players. The eye tests show we are shite at football. And Basilo says, how many starting players will we need in July?
A lot.
I'm going to say left back, central midfielder, centre back.
Striker. Give me another striker, man.
Yeah, but starter. Well, if they're better than Rasmus, you might say yes, but.
I love Rasmus, obviously, but we need.
Or maybe two midfielders, really. You could say.
I mean, I know that Garnacho's doing very well, but I mean, he is naturally a left winger, and he's playing at right wing, and it still might be like, actually, can we still answer that question to the right hand side? Or we tried doing it twice?
This is why I keep saying with Marcel's so right. We do need patience because this is not going to happen in one window, guys. Let's be honest. Let's be realistic.
It could.
We're not getting 6, 7 solid players.
It could. Easily. You're going to lose
and get rid of 8 of these players.
You're going to lose Ericsson. You're going to lose Amrabat. You're going to lose Greenwood. You're going to lose Sancho, right? You put your hand in your pocket and you're going to get rid of Maguire and McTominay. That's 6. That's 6. You can get rid of them. No, but what I'm saying is you can get rid of them.
Yeah.
You can get rid of them.
Olo Damalea says, Marcel, remember Klopp had serious injuries in his second season. And
Evans.
Lastly, and Evans. And Ugwa says, I said earlier, we are a counter-attacking team. And Marcel was shaking his head. Please, can the other guys tell Marcel, please, for your information? I love Marcel. Just disagreeing with you there, Ugwa. He's just saying that we are a counter-attacking team, though.
We are a hybrid footballing team right now. So we have yes, and that's what Ten Hag said. So I feel like he tries to implement, or his philosophy is the possession style of philosophy, and that's why he's always complaining about control. But what, like we've said, or everyone said, and what we've inherited, and what he's inherited is a counter-attacking style of football. So I do agree with Ten Hag when he says hybrid, and then he tries to always implement a high block. He's always tried to implement features of high pressing, and they're very good because we've had the best turnovers before. So
you haven't mentioned it, but the player we've missed is Ireland, because Ireland can hold the ball up and bring players on.
And he's brilliant at high pressing.
Ireland.
Yeah, he's brilliant. But once we get the possession football embedded with the high blocking, we're playing front foot football now. And then you get
that's the problem, isn't it? I think that's the problem. That's what Jamie Carragher was pointing out the other day by saying we tried to do two things at the same time that counteract each other, where we try and do a high press but a low block at the same time. And like Jamie Carragher saying, that's just impossible. And it's almost like between now and the end of the season, Ten Hag does have to pick one thing and stick with it, being like, okay, these guys can't do possession-based football because they can't pass it. We'll just have to embrace it. We're a counter-attacking team for now, get results. And if I stay in my job, then I'll try and do a possession stuff at the end of the season. Because if you try and, as you mentioned, do hybrid, that's how you lead to chaos that we do see, where it's like gaps, or like Cobby mainly looking towards the bench after 30 seconds going, am I meant to be going forward, or am I meant to be staying deep? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? It's confusion. And that's part of the problem, I think, as well. And again, maybe that's because the players are like, oh, I'm a counter-attacking player, but I'm being asked to play possession. Like, we don't know what happens on the training pitch, but I don't know if now we can afford to be a hybrid. You know, you've got to pick an identity and stick with it, because you'll just get rolled over.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think the player profiles would get rid of that completely. Because if you had a quality enough players, I think they could implement.
But that's what I'm saying. Now, between now and the end of the season, he has to pick. He has to pick what you want to do.
Yeah,
that's the only way to get through. You can't do both.
Yeah.
Guys, listen, crazy show. And just proves we are divided. Loads of people getting involved in the chat. Big up to every single one of you. I think it just highlights that most importantly, all opinions, apart from the ones that Cam thinks are not, all opinions are valid. You know, we all do have them, and we all see this thing differently. We all see this. Well, not all of us. Some of us agree with each other. Excuse me, but some of us see that, you know, this is gonna really. I think the truth of the matter is that actually, I think it's more what Kenny said. Actually, when I'm thinking about it all. Doesn't matter what we think. Ineos are going to decide this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know it's like saying, "Well, let's not talk about it. Then let's pack up and go." I'm not saying that.
Exactly. No, I know.
When it's all said and done, Ineos are going to decide what they want to do, whether you want Ten Hag to stay or go or whatever. And when they do decide it, that's when we got to go right. This is our guy. Whether it's Ten Hag,
I can't say that. I can't say that to Potter or Southgate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I know.
Yeah, Ineos have to prove something to us, Fleck.
I mean, Gareth's my limit with that. You know. What I mean?
Yeah.
I can't do
Flex.
that.
Ineos have to prove something to us. They have to.
My closing thought for you, Flex. My closing thought: if it was all the same, there'd be no need for assorted biscuits.
Yeah, that's true. Very, very true. Guys, thank you for getting involved. Did we? I don't think we did. Oh, we just got just below 500 likes, which we should have got more than that. But another 30
to go. Yes,
30 or so to go.
Yeah, get a like in. Get
the likes up. It's been a really good show. Big up to Rich. Big up to Cam. Big up to Marcel. Big up to Kenny, as per usual, every week, guys, and yourself, Owen, and you guys in the chat, the most important people. There he is. There he is. Kenny's got his update. Oh, wait, I updated my thingy today. What did I do?
I turned mine off.
I don't know how you do it.
I think I can turn them back on. Wait a minute. If I click this.
How do you turn it on?
Is this a StreamYard thing?
Don't make me stop putting my thumbs up, guys. I want to do this.
No, I've given up.
Yeah, me too. I turned them off. They're called reactions because you know what it was? I was playing a game, and in the game, someone had their thumbs up, and it was just fireworks going off on my screen for 10 minutes. I couldn't turn them off. I had to YouTube it and be like, "How do you turn these things off?" They're called reactions. There's a little like green thing at the top of your screen.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
don't do that. I'll start looking.
Yeah. But Flex, try putting 2 thumbs up. If you put 2 thumbs up,
screen
you might see the
mirroring,
explosions.
Reactions. No, I can't see
reactions.
it.
That's reactions.
I can't see it.
No, well,
is it a StreamYard thing?
It's an Apple thing.
I literally just updated to the main thing. Owen, quick, tell me where it is. I want to do it.
So can you see on the top of your screen? Can you see like a little green square with a camera on it?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you click on that, there's a thing that says reactions.
But mine says Google. It just says Google Chrome.
Yeah, and then then if you scroll down where your camera is, can you see that? There's an arrow. We'll say whatever your camera's called, and you click the arrow, and it says reactions.
No, mine doesn't do that. I just click it. It says mic mode. That's it.
No.
Yeah, weird. Voice isolation. No, don't want that. Google Chrome. No, I haven't got it.
Technical stuff.
See, look, I can click them.
There you go. Look at that.
I didn't have to do them anymore. I can do this. It's all straight terrible. You know, do that.
Oh mate.
He's showing off now.
That is exactly it is, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, update me, Apple, update me. Oh gosh, that's all the love for Eric Ten Hag. That's all the love. That's all the love. Anyway, guys, that's the confetti falls. We will see you tomorrow on the morning view. Take care, guys. We're out of here. Peace.